Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another video here on the SSA Philosophy channel, where we of course dive right on into the philosophy of characters from video games to TV shows to movies, etc., etc. So today's video, we're going to go over the philosophy of the character known as John Marston. So as always, ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, let's go on ahead and let's get started. So, John Marston, a name that is synonymous with the dying embers of the Wild West, is a complex and captivating protagonist that anchors the Red Dead Redemption series. Introduced in the 2010 game of the same title, John isn't your typical two-dimensional cowboy hero, but really he's a gruff ex-outlaw haunted by a violent past, forced to confront his demons and redeem himself in a world rapidly changing around him. So Red Dead Redemption. So really the game places you in the weathered boots of John as he navigates a desperate situation. Now the year is 1911 and the outlaw era pretty much is drawing to a close. The law represented by the relentless Edgar Ross tightens its grip. And really John's only hope for a peaceful life with his family, his estranged wife Abigail and their young son Jack, pretty much lies in complying, with Ross's demands. And really to secure their freedom, John is thrust back into the criminal underworld, forced to hunt down his former gang members, including the charismatic yet ruthless Dutch Vanderlyn. So really this sets the stage for John's internal struggle, because really he grapples with the weight of his past as a notorious outlaw yearning for a shot at redemption while being forced to engage in violence. So really John's gruff exterior, really it often masks a surprising depth of character, because he's a man of loyalty, fiercely protective of his family despite their, tumultuous past. And really, he possesses a dry wit and a moral compass that, though occasionally obscured by the harsh realities, really guides his actions. So really, as you progress through Red Dead Redemption, pretty much you witness John's transformation. You see this hardened outlaw. The hardened outlaw sheds layers. Really revealing a man, that is capable of love, compassion, and really a fierce determination, to build a better life for his family. And the vast open world, that you explore becomes a stage, for John, really for John's redemption arc. Because from helping strangers in need to taming the wild frontier, really your choices shape John's journey and his legacy. However, though, John's story doesn't really end with Red Dead Redemption, but really in 2018's prequel, Red Dead Redemption 2, pretty much we encounter a younger John Marston, a loyal member of Dutch's gang. And the game delves deeper into John's past, pretty much showcasing the, camaraderie and brotherhood that he shared with his fellow outlaws. And we do see the seeds of John's, future struggles, really his future struggles, sown as, Dutch's ideals, begin to crumble, and also the gang, spirals into violence. Now, really playing as John in Red Dead Redemption 2, really it provides a fascinating counterpoint to his role in the first game, because we see the man that he once was, the outlaw really the outlaw that he desperately tries to leave behind. And really this prequel, really it enriches John's character, adding layers of complexity and making his eventual redemption in the first game, all the more poignant. So really, John Marston, really he is more than really just a video game protagonist, but really he's an enduring character, really an enduring icon in the series, because he really embodies the twilight of a bygone era. A man that is caught between the fading glory of the Wild West and the harsh realities of a changing world. And really his journey towards redemption, really it is a compelling narrative, that continues to resonate with a lot of gamers, really solidifying John Marston's place as, one of gaming's most unforgettable characters. So, of course, with the brief introduction out the way, let's go on ahead and dive into the philosophy of Marston. And this is something I like to call, because really I like to call this, the redemption of redemption. So, this is pretty much John Marston's philosophy of, pragmatic morality. So, let's go on ahead and dive into this philosophy more further, starting off with the first tenet of his philosophy, which, of course, is redemption is a dirty business. So the thing about John is that he craves a better life, for his family, but he recognizes the irony. Recognizes the fact that he can't escape his past as an outlaw to build a future on clean hands. The thing is that redemption then really it becomes a messy process. A willingness to do the dirty work, for a chance at a brighter tomorrow. So the thing about John, John isn't really blind, to the sins of his past because he carries the burden of his own actions, the lives that he's taken and the pain he's inflicted. And this awareness really fuels his desire, for redemption, but it also brings a deep cynicism because John, like, he knows that true redemption, it might be impossible, that the scales of good and evil, may never truly balance. And the thing about John is that he's not really seeking the grand gestures or saintly, really or saintly pronouncements. Because really his redemption, really it is a matter of survival, of having, carving out a sliver of decency in a harsh world. Because he makes the hard choices. He does the dirty work because, that's what it takes, to protect his family and to build a semblance of a good life. And also John, like his redemption, it also comes at a heavy cost because he sacrifices his freedom, his sense of self, and even his peace of mind, you know, and the violence that he employs, to achieve redemption. Really, it taints the very act itself because John embodies the idea that redemption is a messy business, a constant struggle between, good and bad, where the lines are often blurred. And then, despite that cynicism and hardship, he still clings on, to a flicker of hope, because he believes that protecting his family and building a better future for his son, for his son Jack, is a form of redemption. And even in the face, of overwhelming odds, he still strives, to create something, positive, out of the ashes of his own past. So John Marston's story really it is a powerful exploration of redemption, a testament to the enduring human desire, for a second chance. And really it's a redemption, one that is stained with dirt and blood, a reminder that the path to a better life is rarely clean or easy. But through John's struggle, we need to see that glimmer of hope that even the most tarnished, soul can really strive for redemption. And also another tenet of John Marston's philosophy really is that survival is the first principle. So really the world of Red Dead, really it is unforgiving because John prioritizes his family's survival above all else. And this pretty much means, making tough choices, even if they conflict with his ideals. He knows that lofty morals won't really keep a roof over their heads or food on the table. And the thing about John, like he understands, the reality, that the world is a violent place, that law and order are, flimsy concepts, and that danger lurks around every corner. And really his past as an outlaw really has taught him a key lesson. And that lesson is staying alive. Staying alive really is the foundation for everything else. Because without it, there's no chance of achieving anything that you desire. And the thing about John, he doesn't really dwell on ideals or abstract morality, but really he makes choices based on the situation at hand. And sometimes it means making deals with the devil, even forming enemies to secure his and his family's safety. I mean, really it's a cynical view, but for John, it's a matter of, practicality. And as John tries to build a new life for his family, survival takes on a new dimension and really, the thing about it is not just about himself anymore, but really about protecting his wife Abigail and his son Jack. And this adds a layer of complexity, because he's willing to sacrifice his own desires or principles, if it means securing their future. And also, like John. Now, the thing about this is that, there are criticisms, when it comes to John, when it comes to this part of his philosophy. And really, it has to be the ones such as, like, when it comes to moral ambiguity and, limited vision. Now, the moral ambiguity, the thing about John is that his focus on survival really it can lead to morally questionable actions because he might kill or steal to achieve his goals. And this pretty much raises the question, is survival really worth compromising your own values? And then on top of that, when it comes to like, a limited vision, you know, by prioritizing, survival above all else, he might, miss out on the chance, to create positive change or build lasting connections. So this part of his philosophy, really it can be isolating and it also can leave little room for empathy or compassion. But the thing is, though, is that his philosophy really it is a product. Like this part is a product of really of his really yeah. I mean, really it's a part of his like say like pretty much the product, of his harsh environment. Because while it's focused on survival and ensures that he stays alive, it also creates a complex moral landscape where survival and personal growth can sometimes clash. And really another thing I want to focus on in this is that loyalty, loyalty is a currency, but trust is earned. Now, John is fiercely loyal, to those who earn his loyalty, like Dutch Vanderlyn, in his outlaw days. However, though, he learns the hard way that loyalty can be misplaced because he becomes more discerning, trusting actions over empty words. And the thing is, like John, he understands that loyalty, like currency, it can be exchanged because he shows loyalty to the agents in the hopes of securing his family's safety. Trust, though, however, though, is a different matter. Because see, John, like, he's cautious and he's weary of those who hold his fate in their hands because he questions their motives and keeps them at arm's length. Because see, trust for John must be earned through consistent action and proven good faith. And really, this part of his philosophy, really, it would say, really, it reflects the harsh realities of the world that he inhabits. Because loyalty can be a necessary tool for survival, but true trust is a rare commodity. Because really, it's one, like I mean, really, it's a philosophy that is forged in a world in where violence and betrayal are constant threats. And also, another thing we want to focus on is that violence, violence is a tool, not a virtue. Now, think about this, and John is not a pacifist. That's one thing we will say. Like, he isn't a pacifist because, he doesn't revel. The thing is that, I mean, like, the thing is this, like, he's not a pacifist, but he doesn't revel in the violence because the thing is, he sees it as a necessary evil, a tool to be used efficiently when diplomacy fails. Think about John, like, he respects those who can fight when needed, but despises those who glorify the bloodshed. And the thing is this, like John, like he operates in a lawless frontier, and violence is often the only way to defend yourself, to defend yourself, your family, and your way of life. And he understands the harsh reality, that sometimes to survive, you have to be willing to fight. And John's past, really as an outlaw, really his past as an outlaw, it haunts him because he's seen the devastation that violence leaves behind. And he doesn't glorify it, and clearly he shows remorse, for it too. Like he shows remorse for the people, for people overall who really overall have been, who've been hurt by it. And the thing about John, like I mean, he also like uses that violence. Like he uses violence, strategically because he's not a bloodthirsty killer who enjoys, like, say, the act of, really who enjoys the act, because he resorts to it, only when necessary, only necessary, to achieve a specific goal, be it protecting his family, completing a job or enacting revenge. And also, another thing about John, like, he wrestles with the burden of his own actions because he knows that violence has consequences and he carries the weight of his past on his shoulders. So really, John Marston, like his philosophy, really it isn't really one of glorifying violence, but really it's a recognition of the harsh realities of the world that he lives in, where violence is sometimes a necessary evil, a tool to be used with purpose and regret. And also another thing we want to focus on in John Marston's philosophy really is that family is the ultimate purpose. So John's driving force, really the driving force for John really is securing a safe haven, really a safe haven, for his family because this love really it transcends, self-preservation because he's willing to sacrifice his own happiness, his own peace, for their well-being because really it's in this fierce love, that John finds a silver of redemption, a legacy that goes beyond his outlaw past. So really, John's past, as a ruthless outlaw with the Vanderlyn gang, really it haunts him because he sees a chance at redemption when the government offer him, pretty much when the government offers him a deal, bring down his former gang in exchange for his family's safety. John, despite the danger and the moral ambiguity, jumps at the opportunity because here, family becomes a driving force for John to become a better man, to atone for his sins. And really throughout the game, John, like, he wrestles with the violent past that he wants to leave behind, for his son Jack. And also he teaches Jack, skills to survive, but also emphasizes the importance of honesty and a good life. Now, John's actions, even the violent ones undertaken, for the government, are really ultimately, to secure a future, where his son Jack can break free from the outlaw cycle. And really, John's ultimate sacrifice, facing down an overwhelming force to protect his family, really, it is the most potent symbol of his unwavering belief in family as the ultimate purpose. So John's story, really his story is not a fairy tale. That's one thing we will say. Like, his story is not a fairy tale because he makes mistakes and really his past catches up to him, but his unwavering, commitment, really it's his unwavering commitment to protecting his family, even at a great cost. Really, that's what defines him. Because, John, like, this part of his philosophy, really his, like, the part that family is the ultimate purpose. Really, it gives his life meaning, and it also guides his actions throughout the game. And with all that being said, ladies and gentlemen, that of course is the conclusion of this video here today, of course. If you stayed this far to watch the entire video, then I appreciate you. I thank you all once again. But of course, don't forget to like, to comment, and subscribe for, for more explorations, into the minds of of your favorite characters on this channel. But yeah, but really overall, like John Marston, like, really, the thing about John in this case is that his philosophy, I mean, it's not a heroic epic, but really it's a testament, to the complexities of morality in a brutal world, because he grapples with his past, and strives for a better future and ultimately finds redemption in the quiet act of protecting his family. And really his story, like, really it reminds us that sometimes the greatest good that we can achieve, really it is a small act of love in a world determined to tear us apart. And the thing is also is that John's story in the Red Dead Redemption series, really it is a complex tapestry woven with redemption, violence, and the fading embers of the Wild West. And the thing about John, like, he starts as a hardened outlaw haunted by a brutal past, and he transformed into a man desperately clinging to a dream of a peaceful life for his family. However, though, the conclusion of John's journey is really a bitter pill to swallow, leaving players, to grapple with the weight of his choices and the cruelty of fate. So really, John, like, his redemption arc really is a core tenet of the series because, being blackmailed by the government into hunting down his former gang members, really he's forced to confront the ghosts of his outlaw days. Witnessing the demise of Dutch Vanderland's death. Really his, well, really witnessing the demise of Dutch's ideals and the brutality, of their lifestyle. Really, it chips away at John's hardened exterior because he longs for a simpler life, a yearning crystallized, in his efforts to build a ranch for his wife Abigail and son Jack. And really, there's a sort of, like, like melancholic, beauty, in John's struggle because he's a flawed man, prone to outbursts and clinging to a romanticized view of the past. Yet his love for his family is undeniable. He endures humiliation and violence, even betraying his own former comrades for the chance at a peaceful life. And really, this dedication, it really makes John a deeply sympathetic, protagonist. One that we root for, despite his checkered past. However, though, the world of Red Dead Redemption, it is unforgiving, because the law personified by Edgar Ross, this ruthless character in Red Dead Redemption series, really he only sees John, sees him only as a tool. And then, John's final stand, a desperate attempt to protect his family from the fallout of his past, is a heroic but a tragic act. He dies, being gunned down, his dreams of redemption shattered by the relentless pursuit of his sins. So, really, John Marston, his conclusion, really is a powerful indictment of a dying era. And really, the romanticized Wild West is fading, replaced by a more structured, unforgiving world. And John, a relic of the past, is caught in the crossfire. So, really, his death, it serves as a stark reminder that the sins of the past have long shadows, and true redemption may forever remain out of reach. Yeah, there really is a glimmer of hope though for John, because John's sacrifice, it paves the way for Jack, to forge a new path. And really Jack, disillusioned by his father's violent end, chooses a life outside like pretty much like say the outlaw world. Because John's death, really though tragic, becomes really a catalyst for a new beginning, a testament to the enduring power of family and the faint possibility of redemption, even in the harshest of settings. And John Marston's story, really, it is a masterclass in, character development because he's a flawed, complex individual who grapples with his past while desperately seeking a better future. And really his tragic, really his tragic, conclusion, really it resonates deeply, leaving a lot of players, to ponder the weight of choices and really the enduring power, of family and, really the fading embers of a bygone era. But of course, ladies and gentlemen, that is the end of the video. So I thank you once again. I hope you all have a very beautiful, blissful, and wonderful day. And always remember, ladies and gentlemen, always remember to always be smooth, to always be steady, and to always be aggressive. Peace.